Hello and welcome to Salty About Health. My name is Dalaney Algier, and I'm here with my mom and co-host, Mary. So, Mom, why are we salty about health?
Good question. It's because both of us have had struggles, some more serious than others, and no one showed us simple ways we could jump into the driver's seat and take control.
And why are we sharing our views with our listeners?
Well, because we want our listeners to realize that it may take time, but with some simple knowledge about health, they'll be able to make a few changes and dig deeper to take control of their well being and live a more vibrant life.
That's fantastic. But right now, before we get into all of that, we just need to do some housekeeping. Here we go. This is an opinion-based podcast. This is not in any way offered as a diagnosis or treatment for any disease, illness, or infirmity for physical or mental condition or any other condition you may have. We are not doctors or practitioners of any kind. Persons needing medical care should obtain it from a medical practitioner. So, consult your practitioner before making any health decision. The opinions offered here in this podcast are ours alone. Again, we're not doctors, and the banter you're going to be listening to is our view and our view alone. Okay, that's done. We, of course, also want to have an open dialogue with our listeners. So stay tuned to the end of the episode, and we'll let you know all of the ways that we can connect. Welcome. Today, in episode 45, we are going to talk about endocrine disruptors. I'm pretty sure we mentioned them quickly in episode 44. So Mom is keeping her promise. And here we are doing a whole episode on them. Most of the information you'll be hearing today came from the Environmental Working Group website. And we urge everyone to go check it out. It's ewg.org.
Okay, so let's tell our listeners what endocrine disruptors are. They are natural or synthetic chemicals that are found in our food, water, and many common products that mimic or block the action of natural hormones and that can disrupt the body's endocrine system. Your endocrine system is made up of several organs called glands, and these glands, located in different places all over the body, create and secrete hormones. Hormones are chemicals that coordinate different functions in the body by carrying messages through your blood to your organs, skin, muscles, and other tissues. These signals tell your body what to do and when to do it.
Yeah, and there are a wide range of substances, both natural and man-made, that are thought to cause endocrine disruption and can be found, of course, in everyday products, including plastic bottles, metal food cans, detergents, flame retardants, food, toys, skin creams, pesticides. The list goes on and on.
I know, and it does. So, and when it comes to chemicals and toxicology, it seems logical to think higher doses of something are more dangerous because the health impacts are immediate and obvious. But with endocrine disruptors, even teeny tiny doses can lead to devastating health effects. Sometimes these health impacts do not show up for years or even decades down the line after exposure. In addition, unlike the high dose poisonings, it is not as easy to make the cause and effect connection.
Yeah, and this, I don't think this is an endocrine disruptor, but I just watched something really interesting. It was like the Radium Girls, the Radium Girls.
Oh yeah, I think I saw that with the hats or the watches.
The watches, yeah.
Yes.
Hats of Mercury watches.
Yes.
So like the glow.
And I went
dark.
to see the play. Yeah, I saw
that's
the play.
Cool.
It was.
But that was like I guess more like a long-term exposure for them, because they were told every day at work to like lick the brush to make the really fine points so they could paint the numbers onto the watch dials while dipping that brush into a radioactive substance that glows. So yeah, so it took years, but then all of a sudden all these girls were, their faces were literally falling off from the cancer and everything. So
yes, we've
yes.
learned a lot when we look back on things, and we chemicals can cause a lot of issues.
Yeah. So that's, and like my work does a lot of stuff with like plastics and everything. And, we have all these regulations and stuff now because of stuff like that. So, there's still stuff that gets into products, but like, I think people are getting better at recognizing what that is and fighting against that.
Yes, trying to get the corporations to take it out because it's usually cheaper to keep it in. So, yes,
but with all the lawsuits and stuff, it's getting cheaper to take it out and find a better solution for people. Talking about our bodies and all of this, our hormonal systems are very delicate, and even that tiny exposures to endocrine disrupting chemicals at key points of development could set us up for diseases later in life. We're talking exposures measured in the parts per billion. To put that into context, it is like 1 drop of water in 20 Olympic sized swimming pools.
Yeah. So, so with more than 1,000 potential hormone disruptors out there, the Environmental Working Group scientists created a list of the 12 most damaging endocrine disruptors to avoid. Dalaney and I are going to go over that list so our listeners can perhaps make better decisions about the products and food they choose. And if you go to the EWG.org, they have like the dirty dozen list on lots of things like suntan lotion or vitamins, things like that, and food, vegetables, fruit. And it's really worth looking at. And they also have an app you can put on your phone that's really convenient. And then you just do the SKU code and it can tell you what its rating is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. So first up on our list is BPA, bisphenol-A.
Bisphenol.
Bisphenol. Okay.
Yes.
I need my chemist friend on here with us.
Yes, we should interview Trent sometime.
We should. Okay, so BPA. We have all heard that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. But do you really want a chemical used in plastics imitating the sex hormone estrogen in your body? Ooh. Unfortunately, this synthetic hormone can trick the body into thinking it's the real thing, and the results are not pretty. BPA has been linked to everything from breast and other cancers to reproductive problems, obesity, early puberty, heart disease, and according to government tests, 93% of Americans have BPA in their bodies. Okay, so how can we avoid BPA? Go fresh instead of canned. Many food cans are lined with BPA, or research for yourself which companies don't use BPA or similar chemicals in their products. Say no to receipts since thermal paper is often coated with BPA. Okay. And avoid plastics marked with a PC for polycarbonate or recycling label number 7. Not all of these plastics contain BPA, but many do, and it's better to be safe than sorry when it comes to keeping synthetic hormones out of your body. Now, that being said, 90% of BPA has been replaced with bisphenol S, BPS, and bisphenol F, BPF. These manufactured chemicals now replace most of the BPA in plastics, lining aluminum cans, and items like cash register receipts. But according to a study published in the Journal of the Endocrine Society, these two substances are also linked with an increased likelihood of childhood obesity.
Yes, I remember when they took the BPA out and then they a few years later said, well, what they replace it with is pretty much just as bad. So yeah, just be careful and try to go with frozen over canned if at all possible. Or, don't drink out of aluminum cans, drink out of, glass bottles and recycle, things like that. Okay, so now dioxins are multitaskers, but not in a good way. They form during many industrial processes when chlorine or bromine are burned in the presence of carbon and oxygen. Dioxins can disrupt the delicate ways that both male and female sex hormones signaling occurs in the body. This is a bad thing, and here's why. Recent research has shown that exposure to low levels of dioxin in the womb and early in life can both permanently affect sperm quality and lower the sperm count in men during their prime reproductive years. But that's not all. Dioxins are very long-lived. They build up both in the body and in the food chain and are powerful carcinogens that can also affect the immune and reproductive systems. Okay, so how to avoid it? Well, that can be difficult since the ongoing industrial release of dioxin has meant that the American food supply is widely contaminated. Products are most likely to be contaminated are fish, meat, milk, eggs, and butter. It is also used as a food additive in flour and some fruit flavored soft drinks. And unfortunately, bromine can have a negative impact on your thyroid gland. So it is smart to watch for the presence of additives in the food you purchase. And in Europe, they don't use the bromine. Okay. We took out, I think it was it potassium iodine, something like that. That was actually okay for you. And we replace it with bromine. And then you have a lot of gluten sensitivities and thyroid problems.
Okay. Yeah. There is Atrazine. So what can happen when you introduce highly toxic chemicals into nature and turn your back? Nature finds a way, Jeff Goldblum. Excuse me. For one thing, feminization of male frogs. So that was very apropos, to quote Jurassic Park. Thank you. Researchers have found that exposure to even low levels of the herbicide atrazine can turn male frogs into females that produce completely viable eggs, or dinosaurs into females. Atrazine is widely used on the majority of corn crops in the United States, and consequently, it's a pervasive drinking water contaminant. Atrazine has been linked to breast tumors, delayed puberty, and prostate inflammation in animals, and some research has linked it to prostate cancer in people. So, how can it be avoided? Buy organic produce and get a drinking water filter certified to remove atrazine. For help finding a suitable filter, definitely check out EWG's buying guide on their website. Go to report, and then there should be a water filter buying guide there.
Yes, actually, the EWG has a lot of buying guides for different things. So it's a good source. Okay, so now we're going to talk about phthalates. And did you know that a specific signal programs cells in our bodies to die? It's totally normal and healthy for 50 billion cells in your body to die every day. But studies have shown that chemicals called phthalates can trigger what's known as death-inducing signaling in testicular cells, making them die earlier than they should. If that's not enough, studies have linked phthalates to hormone changes, lower sperm count, less mobile sperm, birth defects in the male reproductive system, obesity, diabetes, and thyroid irregularities. And we can avoid this by avoiding plastic food containers, children's toys, though some phthalates are already banned in children's products, so your baby can have no toys. And avoid plastic wrap made from PVC, which has a recycling label number 3. And, they only recycle 1 and 2 anyway.
I
Did you
know.
know that? Yeah.
Yes, because
So if
they
you have,
got
I see
mad
a
at
lot of
me
5s.
and sent me a flyer about how I was recycling too much.
Yeah.
I'm
I,
over
s-
it.
I see a lot of 5s lately. I have to figure out what that material is made of.
Yeah.
But some personal care products also contain phthalates. So read the labels and avoid products that simply list added fragrance, since this catch all term sometimes means hidden phthalates. And you can again find phthalate free personal care products at EWG's Skin Deep database. And Pacifica
We
doesn't
love
use phthalates.
Pacifica.
Yes, I've got an order coming sometime. I don't know
And they
when.
are at Target, aka Target, as well as I think they're at Ulta now.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Is that it? Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
So, but if you buy them off the website, then you can get free shipping and like cool free stuff. So,
Well, they don't offer me anything free anymore, but I do get free
really?
shipping if it's over 50. Yeah.
You don't get free stuff anymore?
No.
Oh, I'm
I need to
sorry.
talk to them.
Rude.
Sad.
There is perchlorate.
Perchlorate.
Perchlorate. Okay. Perchlorate, a component in rocket fuel. There you go. Uh, contaminates much of our produce and milk somehow, according to EWG and government test data. When what is it again?
Perchlorate.
Perchlorate. When perchlorate gets into your body, it competes with the nutrient iodine, which the thyroid gland needs to make thyroid hormones. Basically, this means that if you ingest too much of it, you could end up altering your thyroid hormone balance. This is important because it's these hormones that regulate metabolism in adults and are critical for proper brain and organ development in infants and young children. So you can reduce perchlorate in your drinking water by installing a reverse osmosis filter. That's what you have, right?
Yes. Countertop one.
And you can get help finding one of those again at the EWG website under that report area, looking for water filter buying guides again. As for food, it's almost impossible to avoid perchlorate, but you can reduce its potential effects on you by making sure you're getting enough iodine in your diet. Eating iodized salt is one good way. I feel like iodized salt became the bad guy for a while. So, or like sea salt's the thing, but that does not have iodine. So you really have to search out iodized salt. I have it. And also eating seaweed, tuna, shrimp, eggs, and dairy are good sources of iodine. And they sell seaweed in the little personal packs, the little Kim squares, if you're
Oh, cool.
Korean. So, and they flavor them as well. So you could get some like teriyaki on it or sesame oil on it, stuff like that. So it's fun.
Yeah, I just bought some fermented seaweed
Ooh,
instead of the kimchi. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is really good. And also with today's world affairs, radiation might become a problem someday. So you definitely want to make sure you get the iodine in your diet so it will protect your thyroid. And I think after even with Fukushima, I think they definitely will eat a lot of iodine containing foods over in Japan just
I was like,
because of
yeah,
all
they
the
do that
radiation.
naturally anyways. But
Yes, they
if you watch
definitely.
the HBO thing on Chernobyl, that was really interesting too, because like the scientists, figured it out, and obviously everybody was trying to cover it up. But like, I just remember they showed the one scientist lady, she was just like pushing iodine pills on like everybody, even though like, oh, it's fine, it's fine. She was like, no, take this, take this, take this. So
Yeah, and they will, like in Japan, but you don't want to take an iodine pill unless you talk to your practitioner. They do
right.
give away like bladder wreck comes in a supplement, and that is a type of seaweed. And you could take that if you talk to your practitioner. So yeah, I remember when Chernobyl happened. And on the front of, I think it was Time magazine, I still remember the colt that was born with 3 legs. Like it had the extra leg coming out of its chest or something. Yeah. So yes, iodine in the diet is a good thing. Okay, so fire retardants. So in 1999, some Swedish scientists studying women's breast milk discovered something totally unexpected. The milk contained an endocrine disrupting chemical found in fire retardants, and the levels had been doubling every 5 years since 1972. These are incredibly persistent chemicals known as polybrominated diphenyl ethers, or we'll just call them PBDs, and have since been found to contaminate the bodies of people and wildlife around the globe, even polar bears. These chemicals can imitate thyroid hormones in our bodies and disrupt their activity. They can lead to lower IQ, among other significant health effects. While several kinds of PBDEs have now been phased out, this doesn't mean that toxic fire retardants have gone away. PBDEs are incredibly persistent, so they will be contaminating people and wildlife for decades to come. Can we avoid these? And that would be virtually impossible. But there are a few things that you can do, which would be use a vacuum cleaner with a HEPA filter, which can cut down on toxic laden household dust, and avoid reupholstering foam furniture. Take care when replacing old carpet. The padding underneath may contain PBDs. And again, you can find more tips at the ewg.org.
Lead. So I think this is one that many listeners may know a lot about. At least we know that it is toxic, especially to children. And we've all heard about lead paint in houses. Lead harms almost every organ system in the body and has been linked to a staggering array of health effects, including permanent brain damage, lowered IQ, hearing loss, miscarriage, premature birth, increased blood pressure, kidney damage, and nervous system problems. But few people realize that one other way lead may affect your body is by disrupting your hormones. In animals, lead has been found to lower sex hormone levels. Research has also shown that lead can disrupt the hormone signaling that regulates the body's major stress system called the HPA axis. You can avoid lead by keeping your home clean and well maintained. Crumbling old paint is a major source of lead exposure, so get rid of it carefully. A good water filter can also reduce your exposure to lead in drinking water. And if you need another reason to eat better, studies have also shown that children with healthy diets absorb less lead.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
That was cool.
Okay, so arsenic, it's not just for murder mysteries anymore.
Oh my goodness.
In fact, this toxin is lurking in your food and drinking water. If you eat enough of it, arsenic will kill you outright. In smaller amounts, arsenic can cause skin, bladder, and lung cancer. And less well known, arsenic messes with your hormones. Specifically, it can interfere with normal hormonal functioning in the glucocorticoid system that regulates how our bodies process sugars and carbohydrates. What does that mean for you? Well, disrupting the glucocorticoid system has been linked to weight gain or loss, protein wasting, immunosuppression, insulin resistance, which of course can lead to diabetes, osteoporosis, growth retardation, and high blood pressure. So try to reduce your exposure by using a water filter that lowers arsenic levels. For helping, to find out a good water filter, again, EWG, their buying guide. And as far as for food based on the Dartmouth study, here are 5 foods that shouldn't make regular appearance in your daily diet. And the first one is so depressing for Dalaney and I. Brussels sprouts.
No.
I know. Isn't that depressing? Despite the fact that these
So
vegetables.
you said daily diet because that is weekly, okay?
Well, you detox too. So
I know, but oh my gosh. Okay.
yeah, I know. I saw this and I thought Dalaney is just gonna start crying. We love our Brussels sprouts. We talked about that, I think, on the last show too, how much we love them.
You can't like cook the arsenic out.
Well, if you steam them, maybe, I don't know. Just don't drink the water.
Away.
Well, a lot of times, when you steam things, well, it loses, some of its vitamins and all that. Maybe the arsenic too. We'll have to look into that. But Brussels sprout, despite the fact that these vegetables are among the healthiest you can eat, Dr. Cottingham's research, along with other studies, note that inorganic arsenic that exists in soil is highly attracted to sulfur compounds in Brussels sprouts, along with other cruciferous vegetables, including kale, broccoli, and cauliflower. Arsenic levels in regular sprout eaters were 10.4% higher than in people who never ate them or ate them less than once a month. But that may be why your sulfur detoxes you, because it attracts the arsenic and goes out your system. You know what I mean? When you just take the straight sulfur.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 2, dark meat fish. Inorganic forms of sulfur were 7.4% higher in people eating dark meat fish like tuna, mackerel, salmon, sardines, bluefish, and swordfish once a week, compared to people who ate them less than once a month.
Okay.
Organic.
I don't eat them that much.
Oh, good.
I love tuna and salmon, but I don't eat it that much because I can't afford it.
Yeah, it is expensive nowadays. But organic arsenic exists naturally in seawater. And while organic arsenic is believed to be relatively safe, this research suggests it might not be as harmless as scientists think. Since all seafood tends to be high in arsenic, Dr. Cottingham says make it an occasional meal. Okay, so some studies on rice are pretty compelling, showing that people who eat rice closer to the amount the average American does, about half a cup per day, have consistently high arsenic levels. Okay, so another one is chicken and other poultry, because they are regularly given feed containing arsenic-based drugs, which leads to an elevated level of arsenic in the meat. The FDA recently revoked approvals for 3 out of 4 of these toxic feed additives, but industry experts estimate that it'll be at least a year before producers run through the remaining supplies of their arsenic-laced feed. Continue to opt for organic poultry, which is raised without the use of arsenic feed additives. Of course, this is an old article, so they've probably already run through those. Okay, the sad one for Dalaney here is beer and wine. Well, besides Brussels sprouts, now they're attacking the beer and wine.
Fish, rice. I don't know, Mom.
Like, drink water. No, you can't even drink water. That has arsenic.
My normal diet is on here right now.
So beer and wine in the Dartmouth study, men who had 2.5 beers per day had arsenic levels more than 30% higher than non-consumers. And women who drank 5 to 6 glasses of wine per week had levels 20% higher than non-consumers. The arsenic may be coming from the water used to brew these beverages, but beer and wine producers also use a filtration material, diatomaceous earth, that's known to harbor arsenic.
So another one is mercury. So the Mad Hatter. Mercury is a naturally occurring but toxic metal. It gets into the air and oceans primarily through burning coal. Eventually, it can end up on your plate in the form of mercury contaminated seafood. Pregnant women are the most at risk from the toxic effects of mercury, since the metal is known to concentrate in the fetal brain and can interfere with brain development. Mercury is also known to bind directly to one particular hormone that regulates women's menstrual cycle and ovulation, interfering with normal signaling pathways. In other words, hormones do not work well when they've got mercury stuck to them. The metal may also play a role in diabetes, since mercury has been shown to damage cells in the pancreas that produce insulin, which is critical for the body's ability to metabolize sugar. So, for people who still want to eat sustainable seafood with lots of healthy fats, but without a side of toxic mercury, wild salmon and farmed trout can be good choices.
I find that interesting, the farmed trout, because I've seen, where when they farm fish, they give them so many like antibiotics and things like that, not to get sick because of how they farm them. But trout must be different. Are those big trout ponds? Yeah.
They have to be in like constantly moving water.
Yeah.
I think like other fish can be in like a pond, but I think trout, it like has to be like a river scenario.
Yeah, I think there's somewhere in West Virginia where I stopped by and I saw that they had the different levels, and that must have been it.
Oh yeah, the fish ladders are cool. Yeah.
And I will say one of the best meals I had when I was down there with your grandmother in Florida, we went out to a nice restaurant, and then I don't think I'd ever gotten trout out, in a restaurant, and that was like the best meal. It was very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so next is perfluorinated chemicals, which are PFCs. And the PFC chemicals used to make nonstick cookware can stick to you.
That was a good joke, Mom.
PFCs are so widespread and extraordinarily persistent that 99% of Americans had these chemicals in their bodies. One particularly notorious compound called PFOA has been shown to be completely resistant to biodegradation. In other words, PFOA doesn't break down in the environment ever. That means that it's kind of like DEET, I guess.
It's like a cockroach.
Really. That means that even though the chemical was banned after decades of use, it will be showing up in people's bodies for countless generations to come. This is worrisome since PFOA exposure has been linked to decreased sperm quality, low birth weight, kidney disease, thyroid disease, and high cholesterol, among other health issues. Scientists are still figuring out how PFOA affects the human body, but animal studies have found that it can affect thyroid and sex hormone levels. So please do not use nonstick pans, as well as stain and water resistant coatings on clothing, furniture, and carpets. And remember, when shopping at secondhand stores, please do not buy the nonstick pans that are everywhere in these stores, and they are very toxic. They need to be just disposed of or something, but don't buy them and cook with them ever.
I like my oh my gosh, I just forgot what cast iron pan.
Yes, I like those too. I have my grandmother's, so you'll get them someday. I have a bunch of them, so, and they're seasoned. I love that. You get really nicely seasoned ones. I think after this episode, people are going to be afraid to do anything. So our next episode is going to have to be a little more upbeat.
Yeah, this is a little stressful, but
it is. I know. It's like, don't touch anything. You're not going to be able to have a baby, or you're going to get some kind of cancer.
Yeah. Words. Organophosphate pesticides.
All right.
Is that a word? Okay.
Yes.
Neurotoxic organophosphate compounds that the Nazis produced in high quantities for chemical warfare during World War II were luckily never used. Okay, that's good. But after the war ended, American scientists used the same chemistry, which also a lot of German scientists came over to America, so I guess that makes sense, to develop a long line of pesticides that target the nervous system of insects. Despite many studies linking organophosphate exposure to effects on brain development, behavior, and fertility, they're still among the more common pesticides in use today. A few of the many ways that organophosphates can affect the human body include interfering with the way testosterone communicates with cells, lowering testosterone, and altering thyroid hormone levels. So, try and buy organic produce and use EWG's Shopper's Guide to Pesticides in Produce, which can help you find the fruits and vegetables that have the fewest pesticide residues. And that is in their food news section.
Okay, so glycol ethers, shrunken testicles is one thing that can happen to rats exposed to chemicals called glycol ethers, which are common solvents in paints, cleaning products, brake fluid, and cosmetics. The European Union says that some of these chemicals may damage fertility or the unborn child. Studies of painters have linked exposure to certain glycol ethers to blood abnormalities and lower sperm counts. And children who were exposed to glycol ethers from paint in their bedrooms had substantially more asthma and allergies.
I like to point out I painted my baby's room almost a year ago.
Very good.
Wouldn't be fresh.
I guess really the next, at least we need an episode on maybe how to detox from all these. People can Google like how to detox heavy metals from their bodies, things like that, because, and you have friends that are having trouble having children, and you just wonder, do they eat out of plastic all the time? Things like that. Is it something they're doing?
It. Yeah.
Yes.
So many things, but it's also pregnancy is interesting because it's also just like naturally difficult to get pregnant because it's only like 1 or 2 days a month where it's gonna like stick anyways.
I never had that. Most people don't have.
I didn't.
I'm just saying, today's society, we may that may
it's
be
weird
because of all the chemicals.
All this, and it's like, oh, like you have to do it on this certain day, or just it like won't happen. But I was like, I like to point out to people that certain day is also the day that you really, really, really want to make a baby. So that's part of the,
it's a hormonal thing. So
it is a hormonal thing.
So hopefully these chemicals are, as we see, disrupting male and female hormones, and that could be a problem in today's society.
So, as we said before, now that we have you completely paranoid, I'm pretty much afraid of touching or eating anything. Just remember, we tell you this to educate you and to get you to think before purchasing products and food. The human race is still here, so we're all doing something.
The quality may be going downhill, but we're still here.
Yeah. So remember, knowledge is power, and when you know better, you'll try to do better. So try to avoid endocrine disruptors by shopping smarter for products without the chemicals and the heavy metals. And as Mom said, we'll try to, look up detox facts. Maybe we can have an episode soon on how to detox from all of this, because there are no end to the tricks that endocrine disruptors can play on our bodies, increasing the production of certain hormones, decreasing the production of others, imitating those hormones, turning one hormone into another, interfering with hormone signaling, telling cells to die prematurely, competing with essential nutrients, binding to essential hormones, accumulating in organs that produce hormones. Yeah.
So I think that, people shouldn't be really dismayed. They should just start with the simple things, like look at your shampoo, maybe, get one without phthalates and stuff like that.
Yes.
Just the simple
baby
things.
Baby steps.
Yeah.
To help. So again, like Mom was saying, like just start reading labels. Maybe try to buy more organic if possible. Go check out the EWG website. And they do have tons of PDFs that you can download. So maybe just like once a week, pick a new one to research and learn about.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, baby steps. Because I
So
think if
slow,
like
yeah.
you read it all at once, you're just gonna be like, why? Like I just have to burn my house down. So just be like, okay, today is plastic day, and you're just gonna like learn about different plastics and then look at how you interact with it in your life and see what you can do. Because like food containers, you can go to the store and buy the glass Tupperware, like boom. Or even like thrift stores have that too. Like there you go. Like
and the ball
switch.
jars. Yeah.
Ball jars are great.
Yeah.
Ball jars are like the cool thing to like use as cups anyways. So like
but you can make a salad in them, or you can eat out of them. You can put your leftovers in them.
Yeah. So baby steps. Yeah. So just keep researching and looking over everything and see what products and foods are less toxic for you. Well, thanks everyone for listening. And again, we want to hear from you guys. We always want to hear from you guys. Please, please, please reach out to us. And here are just a few ways that you can do that. You can reach out via Instagram and Facebook. Find us at Salty About Health, even Snapchat at Salty Health. You can email us at saltyabout.health@gmail.com. Or if you just want to find all that in one place, check out our website, saltyabout.health.com. We've got all the ways for you to listen and connect there. And finally, if you like what you hear today, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. We really appreciate it. So, Mom, if they want to hear from you on social media, where can they find you?
Okay, I am a certified health coach and I do coach one-on-one. So if you're interested, you can contact me at mary@feedyourselfhealthy.com. I also do research for people who are interested in finding alternative approaches to do in conjunction with the health issue or illness their doctor is treating them for. So again, just reach out to me at mary@feedyourselfhealthy.com.
And of course, I'll be the one mainly keeping an eye on the social media. So always happy to chat with you guys via the Salty Network. Also, just want to shout out our intro and outro music. It is by Yule, and you can find her at www.yulearts.com. That's EULARTS. You can also find her on Instagram at Yule_arts or Spotify and YouTube. Check her out. Her piano music and everything else is amazing. And until next time, stay salty.
Stay salty.